justice just for the sake of the tape. Colorado coordinator, We the People Congress. About 12 years ago, Bob Schultz and the We the People Congress began petitioning for redress of grievance, as is the right of the people in their capacity as sovereign. Whenever a government becomes destructive to the end it was established secure. According to the principles of the Declaration of Independence, whenever government ceases to function to secure the unalienable rights endowed upon all by the Creator, people have a duty or a right to alter or abolish that government. When a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object, eventually designed to reduce the people under absolute despotism, the people have a duty to throw off that government. Abraham Lincoln said, "It's not our duty to overthrow the Constitution, but the men and women who pervert it." We stand here today to testify against the acts of this government, who we believe is engaged in acts of treason against the sovereign people. Rather than throw off this government, we decided to petition humbly as a responsible people, and to that end we petition. We petition, and we petition, and we petition, and we petitioned and got no answer. So we sued. We took the case to the United States District Court, District of Columbia, who told us that we have a right to petition, but the government doesn't have an obligation to respond. We took it up to the Court of Appeals. U.S. Court of Appeals said the same thing. Basically said, you have a right to petition, but the government doesn't have an obligation to respond. We took it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court basically didn't want to hear it. Having run out of options, we petitioned the court one more time. We suggested that it was involved in an act of treason against the people if it decided not to hear this case. They decided not to hear the case. We began a process of electing 3 delegates from each state to send them to a Continental Congress, not unlike the first Continental Congress in 1774, where the Founding Fathers also petitioned for redress of grievance to no avail. Their petition was to the King of England as subjects. Our petition was to the United States of America, the respective delegates, administrative agents, who are our servants. We came in our capacity as sovereign, talking to our servants, to no avail. We convened last November in a Continental Congress, breaking up into committees the members of the Continental Congress, the delegates, 2 of which are here today, Kevin Thibodeau and Gary Coates, discussed the articles that we now call the Articles of Freedom. At the time, there were no Articles of Freedom. They were petitions for redress of grievances. After about 10 days of deliberations, the delegates agreed and came up with the Articles of Freedom. The Articles of Freedom are an expression of the government's failure to uphold the Constitution, particularly the politicians who all take an oath to uphold the Constitution. Inherent in the Articles of Freedom is a remedial instruction to instructing the government, specifically the lawmakers, on how to accomplish that end. At this moment in time, border to border, from shore to shore, in every state, there are people like us gathered in the name of America and her Constitution. We may have different views or different issues, but when it comes to the Constitution, our calling is the same. We are the freedom keepers for the United States of America. We are the ones who are standing up now for our God-given Constitution and putting our focus on this above all else. We know that freedom is on the line in America. We know that America's soul is under attack today. We are here today because we are ready, willing, and wanting to carry on the sacred trust left to us by our founding fathers and the patriots of old. We dedicate this day to them and send eternal gratitude to their memory and hope to follow their example, that we may be every bit as brave, as determined, and as illumined in our efforts to guard and protect what they sacrificed their all to give us. What we are doing here today has nothing to do with politics. We are standing for our Constitution, for a system of governance that is not based on the whims of man, but on the supreme law. Without that law, without the crowning jewel of the Constitution as our guiding star, we are a rudderless ship riding on a rogue wave with no shore in sight. We have plenty of examples to know that when men are in charge, when human law, human control, and human authority usurp the supreme law given to us, we know there can be no good or lasting outcome. And we say, no more. Enough is enough. There is not a person, no matter what their views, who can look at the Articles of Freedom without knowing that they are significant, that their contents are serious and substantial. For many of our citizens waking up across America to a government they do not recognize, the Articles of Freedom speak the voice of hope in a world seemingly gone mad. It is fitting that these articles came forth through ordinary citizens, through we, the people. For what has happened in our government and our country has happened because we have allowed it. And we are the only ones who can fix it and save it now. Today, in every state, the articles will be served on our elected officials with the expectation that the instructions they contain will be taken seriously, and through these we can find our way back to the Constitution. This ceremony is intended to honor God, our country, and our Constitution, to be a record of the conscious return of the people to fulfill their duty as citizens of America, to recognize our responsibility to ensure our Constitution is no longer trampled on, to hold our elected officials accountable to its fulfillment. Today is also a call for help. We are reaching up for the assistance of divine providence. More than ever before, may the Articles of Freedom be sealed in the heart of good. May the energy we give here today, as one voice, go forth and be amplified across the nation until millions are raised up to stand with us for the Constitution.